Welcome to our pseudocode video for week 4. During week 4, we're going to talk about arrays. And I'm going to actually spend a little more time talking about arrays than I typically have been talking about the other videos. So let's start with a little presentation that I put together a while back. So arrays, we've been talking about variables, and arrays are a type of variable. If you go back to the post office analogy I talked about last week, and I think we brought up in week 1 and 2, you'll see that variables have different sizes and types. They have a name on the front, and when you use the key and you open it up, there's a value or something inside of it. An array is simply a group of contiguous or inline variables. So if we had an array that was of 10 values, it would be, let's say, from here through, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 through here. And arrays, we'll talk about this more, but arrays are numbered, so I can reference this one, and then I can reference this one, and I can put data in this one, and then I can put data in this one, or I can put them in them sequentially one after another. But if you think of them as just the same as a other type of a variable, but again a contiguous or a sequential list of or group of variables, then I think it's easier. Okay, so just like the example that I chose, all of them are the same size. So there may be 10 of them, but each of them is the same type, and they're the same size. And I can tell the computer when I declare an array how many I'm going to declare. And when I do that, I declare the name or the type, the values that go in them, and each has an index that I use to reference it. So if you look at this little table, here's my array, and each of these has their own value, but my index, notice it starts from 0 and goes to 9 for me to have 10. Okay, so that is basically what an array is. So let's get into an example here of pseudocode where we use an array. I'm going to show you how to declare an array. I'm going to show you how to add value to an element of an array. So the requirements for our assignment are going to be in line with the other assignments we've been doing. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask the user how many numbers they want to add. And then, using a loop, collect the numbers from the user and store them in an array. Then, loop through the array and calculate the total. So we're not going to use a running total like we've used in some of the other assignments. We're going to go through, using a loop, we're going to loop through the array and calculate the total. Okay, so let's go through the steps or the algorithm for this particular program. So the first thing we want to do, as has been pretty common with all of these, ask the user how many numbers to add and store that number. 2. Loop through, number of times specified. 3. Ask the user for the number to add. 4. Here's where it's a little bit different. Store the number in an array. 5. Let's end the loop. 6. We're going to loop through the array array. Here's where we keep our running total. And loop. And show the total. Okay. All right, so let's show this thing in pseudocode. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is let's declare our array. We don't have to do it right here at the beginning, but we're going to do it just so we can talk about it. This is going to look like a standard variable declaration. If I can type it right. Okay, we're going to call it number array. The difference is we're going to put these big square brackets around it, and we need to tell it how many. Now, we don't know how many at the beginning because we need to ask our user how many that would be. So up here, declare, we've been using this variable, how many numbers, okay? We're also going to, while we're at it here, declare integer total, and let's set total equal to 0. Okay, this is just like last week's. Okay, now let's ask display how many numbers do you want to add? Question mark. Okay, yep, we'll fix that. Numbers. All right. Next thing we're going to do is input how many numbers. Okay, so now we actually know we can plug right in here the variable how many numbers, because we know that's how many elements of the array we're going to need to set up. Okay, all right. Now you could have put in a hard-coded number of like 10 or whatever in here instead of using this variable. But what we're asking in this particular program is for the user to tell us how many. Okay. Now we're going to declare integer index, and we're going to use a for loop from 1 to how many numbers. Okay, so it's just about like what we did last week. In here, we're going to declare numbers to add. We're going to display, enter a number to add. This should all be kind of looking familiar. Input number. Oops, what is it? Yeah, numbers to add. Okay, and then this is a little bit different. We're going to set our number array. Notice I'm putting the index right here equal to number to add. Basically and then let me finish it off with a and for. Basically what's going to happen in this for loop is the first time through it's going to be 1, and the next time through it's going to be 2, and the next time through it's going to be 3, so forth and so on. All right, now I typed it like this way on purpose because I want to make a change to it, and I want you to think about it and know that I'm making this change. Okay. When we were looking at the slide over here, we showed this table, and it starts at 0 and it goes to 9. That's the way indexes are typically referenced. We're going to need to change our pseudocode so that it references it in the same way. So that means we're actually going to need this to be 0, and we're going to do a little trick here, and we're going to just say how many numbers minus 1. And what will happen is that the program is going to calculate this and end up with, rather than if I typed in a 10 here, rather than this being a 10, it will be a 9. So our loop is going to go, our index value is going to go from 0 to 9. And that takes care of that off by 1 index problem. Okay. So by the time we get through this program to this point, we will have fed or filled the array with the numbers that we need. Now, the next part of our application needs to then calculate the total. Okay. So what we're going to do is basically the same exact thing for index 0 to how many numbers minus 1, just like we did before. Let's end our for loop. But in here, we're going to accumulate the total. Set total equal to total plus, we're going to use our number array, and we'll put index in there, just kind of like we did before. So the difference here is, in this case, we are setting the value of the element in the array equal to the number that we got from the keyboard from the user. In this case, we're setting the value of total with whatever the last total was plus the value of that particular element from the array. So, one is getting data out of the array in this case, and in this case, we're putting data into the array. I hope that makes sense for you. The last thing we need to do here is just simply display the total. Okay. So this is our program that's using an array to collect the data from the user and then to loop through that array and calculate the total as kind of two different steps. So let's go through the output here really quick and talk about it. So of course we're declaring some information here, and the first thing that's going to be in our output is how many numbers do you want to add? Okay, and then our input basically just kind of puts the cursor right here, and we're going to put 5 right here. And we're going to hit enter. Okay, and then that's going to bring us down. It's going to declare our array with 5 elements, 0 through 4. We're going to declare this index counter. Our for loop is going to go from 0 to 5 minus 1, which is 4. And then inside of our loop, we're going to ask the user, enter a number to add. First time through, we're going to collect the number. I'm going to type 1. Okay. Down here, it's going to take that 1, which comes in this variable, and plunk it into the first element of the array, which is 0. Okay, again, going back to this table, it's going to put the value 0. It's going to put the value right here of 1. Okay, hope that makes sense. The next time through, it's going to ask us the question again. I'm going to type in 2, and so forth and so on. 3, 4, 5. So on this last one, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 are the index elements of the array, even though I'm putting a different value in there. Obviously they're not always going to be the same value. So we've gone from 0 to 4. So at this point in time, it's going to drop out of the for loop, and it's going to go into this next loop, which is going to basically do the same thing, except it's going to, the first time through, it's total equals total. So 0, it starts with 0. We set total equal to 0 to begin with. So 0 equals 0 plus 1. Then 1 equals 1 plus 2. Then total equals 3 plus 4. Then total equals 10, or no, 6 plus 4, then total equals, what this is going to be, 10 plus 5. So the result of this is 15, just like in the assignment that we did last week. And the last thing that's going to show on here is the total of the numbers is 15, and the program is going to end. Okay, so during this video, we've talked about arrays. We've talked about how an array is a contiguous group of mailboxes or variables that are the same type. They're in memory one after another. They're accessed with an index with 0 as the first one and 1 as the second one, and so forth. And I can put a value in them by using that index or reference number for each of them. We've created a program here that allows us to take numbers from the user and put them in an array, and then loop through the array and get the value back out and use it to calculate the total and display the total. I hope that this will help you to better understand arrays, how you declare them and how you use them. And I hope it'll help you because it aligns actually quite well with your assignment. So hope that will help you.